Welcome to the fight game. He's Icewater. I'm Puma. This is a fight that we did not ask for. Canelo and Berlinga on the 14th. And I don't even know whether or not this is worth watching. For me, Canelo is taking a page out of Floyd Mayweather, but he's fighting guys I know I haven't ever heard of. I don't want to disrespect these fighters because Berlinga is 22-0. I'm pretty sure he's a good fighter, but has he done the things that to earn a title shot with Canelo? You know the fights we want to see with Canelo, but he's going to get a big audience because it's Mexican Independence Weekend, and people are going to buy the fight. They're going to eat, they're going to drink, and they're going to cheer on their favorite Mexican fighter. But it's like the gig is up, man. You got to fight the fighters that are really out there and they're putting their time in, and that will give you a challenge in order to call yourself the greatest fighter or the greatest Mexican fighter, and to keep your legacy, the way you want to keep it. Your thoughts on this fight, man?
Yeah, I mean, he says he's chasing titles and was it Berlanga? Berlanga is worthy in regards to the record, but and he talks a great game. I mean, you listen to Berlanga, it's like I'm gonna knock this motherfucker out in 2 rounds. But I mean, that toughness doesn't mean anything till you get in the ring. And I admit I do want to see Canelo fight some more stiffer competition. But I guess my question is, who's available and at what weight?
Yeah, which leads me to the next question about is Terrence Crawford moving up in weight a good idea? Because he didn't look like the Terrence Crawford we all know and love in the last fight. And what would that fight look like with Carnelo if he gets that shot and moving up in weight?
Okay, I'm gonna put it out to you this way that I think, and this is just without an assessment. I mean, we can talk about what that fight would look like, right? But you just saying moving up in weight. So we're gonna start here, and I'm gonna write my little diagram as we go along. So we know that Bud Crawford was at 147 when he beat Errol Spence, right?
Mm-hmm.
His last fight, he jumped to 164. Okay, 154. I'm sorry, and he looked not great.
Right.
and and they said it was the strategy of the bigger guy, and this guy was no chump. Okay, he was tough, and you can see by Bud's face that he went through some things before he figured him out and won, and he won. Now we're talking about moving up to 168. We jumping another 14 pounds to fight Canelo, and if you can't do a lot of damage with a good dude, not so far great dude at 154. You think you got a real shot at banging or at least challenging Canelo at 168?
I don't think that Bud Crawford would be like banging with Canelo unless it's in the later rounds where he's like, listen, this guy can't hurt me. He's, ran out of steam. I think he can. He's quicker. I think he can sharpshoot Carnelo. Carnelo to me is very slow. He's like a bull in a china closet sometimes when he wants to get fighters out of there. So I see Bud kind of fighting a smarter fight, a la Floyd Mayweather against Carnelo, and just maneuvering, um, not running, not running, because we talked about Charlo, the younger Charlo brother, who just stood there and took a beating. Not like that, but I can't see Crawford sitting there taking a beating from Canelo Alvarez. I think it will come a time where Crawford will go, you know what? Let's go. Let's go. You want to see whether or not I got what it takes to bang with you? Let's go. But I think that will come in the later rounds. I don't think that will come in the earlier rounds. I think he's going to kind of just let Canelo wear himself out. Um, you know, trying to swing at ghosts, because to me Canelo is not a fast fighter, and you can kind of tell those punches are coming. But I think Crawford will have a smarter game plan going into a fight, even with at 168. I know that's a lot of weight to put on, but I think he could do it. I really think he could do it. Now, whether or not he can knock Canelo out, that remains to be seen. but I think he can maybe knock him down if he catches him, and Canelo's not careful.
Wow, that's an interesting observation that you
Bud
made.
made me a believer, man. He made me a believer because I always did. I didn't always feel this way about him because he was
Oh,
fighting Nebraska, and I'm like, well, who is he fighting? But he stepped up, got some good fights, and I'm like, this brother can bang. This brother can handle himself.
yeah, I will say this. I don't think to me that it is really that I'm questioning any of his skills. Okay, I'm not. I think that he stepped up, as you said. He showed us a lot in regards to what he did when he kind of manhandled Errol Spence, right? At 147, I think he manhandled him. He beat him to the punch, and you always remember that. Some of the other fights he fought, yeah. But I think the problem that I have with this is the factor that one, you're saying he can be like Floyd, and what Floyd did to a younger Canelo is just it was a masterpiece.
It was easy work.
It
Easy
was
work.
easy work. It was a masterpiece, and he was younger. But I will say this that I just think that that moving up that much as far as that weight from 154 to 160, that's 14 pounds. And Canelo carries that easy. Like he got change in his pocket. And granted, I don't know if Canelo falls into that trap of chasing Bud and following around, letting him do what you just mentioned. At some point, there's gonna be a point of attack that Bud's gonna have to take something against him. And if you got another guy that he fought at 154 can do that type of damage, what is Canelo gonna do? I mean, he's a hell of a fighter, skill wise. But is he the greatest defensive fighter I've seen? Nah. What you gonna do when Canelo put those things on you? Could Bud be a masterful boxer like Floyd did against Canelo? Absolutely. I think he has a skill set to do it. Absolutely. But will he?
Yeah,
I don't think he will. At some point, he's gonna want to prove that I can stay in the pocket with this dude and bang.
I do believe that too. I do
And I
believe
and
that
I
too.
think that will be his undoing
I
because
think it'll come in the later rounds where you figure out that this guy can't hurt me.
man, I don't think it's gonna be a point that he don't say this guy can't hurt me now. Because I just don't believe that. I do not believe that. He might want to say that at 168 is and as much as we kind of in the past that you kind of clown Charlo for running. Charlo was like, I'm not getting knocked out. I'm not getting knocked out. But stands in there with Canelo. As much as I respect everything he's accomplished, I just don't know at 168. I do. I think that's a lot, and I think we asked people. I mean, we've seen it. Roy Jones went up to heavyweight.
Right.
He fought John Ruiz, but that was the right guy that was selectively chosen because you knew what you could do against him. You're talking about Canelo, supposed to be one of the greatest in his time, and now with that heavier weight, and then Bud, you don't come in here and go, whoop, 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 and box him and think you're not gonna get something back. Canelo can punch, you can't do that.
I think he's going to really be careful, not to, sometimes Bud can get kind of loosey goosey with the defense. We've
Yeah.
seen that. We've seen that. But he can't afford to do that if he fights Canelo because Canelo will just come forward and like a bull in a china closet, just
Oh,
try to
oh,
punch
he's
through
coming.
you.
He's
But
coming.
I feel like Crawford is quick enough to see those punches coming from Metrocon, Mexico, and get ready to land and get out the way. Unlike Charlo, who just stayed on the ropes and took him. I can't see Crawford fighting the same way as the younger Charlo.
No, I agree with that 100%. But my problem with that is, again, when you like, for instance, a lot of people looked at the last fight that Crawford had, and they thought he was just gonna come in and dominate. He did not have an answer for the strategy of his last opponent. His opponent was slow, he's methodic, went in there, did what he had to do. He threw only shots that he knew could land,
Mm-hmm.
certain ones that he was tapping him with, and you saw Crawford's face near the end. So if you keep getting tapped like that against Canelo at 168, it might be a problem. So the question is his trainers is his corner been going to be able to to help him with that. Because one thing we have not really seen yet, we have not really seen Bud in trouble.
You're right. That's right. That's true. There was one fight where he got rocked.
He got rocked, but he
Yeah.
wasn't like in trouble. He just
Right.
got. It's kind of like Floyd. As much as you want to throw Sugar Shane Mosley fight in there, he was. He was stunned. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't. He wasn't rocked. He was rocked, but he wasn't in trouble.
Okay.
So you got to kind of. That's the greatness, right? That's the greatness of it, where you get stunned when you come back. Floyd gets stunned by Sugar Shane Mosley. His uncle tells him in the corner, they think we're gonna retreat because we're scared now that we might get knocked out. He said, no, we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna go forward. Now we're gonna box you and we're gonna make you realize you made a mistake. I made a mistake, but you made a worse mistake because you didn't take advantage of it. But for me, what Bud is, we need to see him. Is he gonna be what happens to him in trouble?
Now off air, you told me that you had a fight that compared to what the Terrence Crawford and Canelo fight would be, and you wouldn't tell me until we got on air. So I want to hear it now. Let's go. I'm ready. I know
All
you
right.
set me up for a trap, but let's go. Let's go.
So there is a fight that you really thought was you announced to me off air and announced a little bit also to some other people that you thought somebody else clearly won. They deserved the decision. And that fight is Marvin Hagler, may he rest in peace, versus Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah, yeah. Hagler won.
All right, well, I'm not gonna fight you on that. The cards say what they said, but okay. But we're gonna entertain this.
Right.
Because what I'm saying to you is, when you box, you move a lot.
Yeah.
Right? You move a lot, and you can. There's a lot been some masterful boxers. What I'm saying to you, if I think that you said you thought that Bud Crawford was going to fight Canelo the same way that Floyd Mayweather fought him, and I'm telling you that I don't think that works for him, because you said boxing is moving around. Then to me, it's not running, but it's movement. Running is movement. Movement is not running, but it's movement. And I think if Bud goes, Terrence Crawford goes in and tries to move around, if he ever decides to come full circle, full center against Canelo, I think he's going to have some major problems. I really do that. And I think the problem with Bud is he's going to get caught up saying, oh, this dude doesn't know who I am. And he's going to stay too long. And you stay too long with just a difference between, especially a really talented person that has knocked out the Caleb Plants of the world that swore he was a great boxer. And I'm not comparing Caleb Plant to Bud Crawford at
Yeah.
all.
Please
Okay?
don't.
I
Yeah.
know there's a different level,
Yeah.
but a lot of the people, and I didn't want to give it to him, but I'm gonna give it to him right now. A lot of the people that Canelo faced in that area, 154, 160, moving on up, were champions. Some of them undefeated. But he was a slow starter, Canelo that is.
Yeah.
And he slowly but surely found them, caught them, and knocked them out. So as great as a fighter as Bud Crawford is, and I think he is amazing. I think he's biting a little bit more than he can chew when you talk about facing Canelo at 168. If you can do it, it is amazing. And I didn't think he would be Errol Spence. And I had to bow down to him because he
Yeah.
showed me that he was more prepared because he was 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Errol Spence had never really seen anybody beat him at his own game. But in this scenario, with all that being said, I think even though we don't like the fact that Canelo is facing all these other guys and we have never really taken the angst to or understood who they were and that didn't get a lot of exposure, I'll say this. I think that now, if you do get in the ring with him at 168, Crawford's gonna have to fight the perfect fight.
Yeah. You heard him. You heard him, champ. He said you got too much dip on your chip. I believe in you. I believe in you, bud.
I believe in it too. But you, hey, styles and size make fights.
Yeah.
And it's a reason why, like you just said, like you have destroyed Jermell Charlo for fighting Canelo.
He
You
didn't even fight.
destroyed him.
I wouldn't even call that a fight, to be
You
honest.
destroyed that man's character, and that's okay. That you have the right to do that.
He didn't fight.
Well, okay, you have destroyed the man's character. You might as well retire, according to you. But all I'm saying to you is, they say, how many times have you heard some of the best people say that there's a reason why there are weight classes?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
There's the reason, and I think this is gonna be one of the fights. I truthfully, I really don't want to see it. I'll watch it, but I just, my problem is though, like Canelo said, if he beat Crawford, you know what they're gonna say? You beat a blown up super
Yeah.
middleweight.
I would like to see Crawford get at that weight and get used to that weight before he fights Canelo. It's one thing to just puff up and not be used to carrying the weight and and gaining the power that may or may not come with that weight. But he gets used to being 168 and be able to carry it and be able to fight the fight he wants to fight. Then I'll have more confidence. And so I'm not rushing this fight. I want him to get used to moving up, getting used to the weight, moving up, getting used to the weight. So yeah, it should be
Let me throw one other thing on that.
sure.
The only issue I have with that is I don't think it's going to be time.
Right.
And I don't think Bud Crawford is going to fight more than 4 more fights, if that.
Okay. I duly noted. Duly
Because
noted.
of the age, I just don't. So if he does, this is going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity. He's going to jump at it. But I don't think he's going to be around long enough. I think that he's really ready to retire, get out, do some other stuff, stay in boxing, helping other people. But I don't know if he thinks there's how many more super fights are there left for Terence Crawford?
Yeah, and lifting weights like Evander Holyfield and all that. I don't know if that works for boxers. The debate goes on whether boxers should be lifting weights or not. We'll see about that. But moving on to and just piggybacking on what you said about fights you want to see, I thought of a fight I wanted to see, and I'll go to you next. I want to see Shakur Stevenson and Lomo. I want to see that fight. I know it's not going to happen this year. I know there's some fights coming up this year. We're going to talk about the Usyk Fury fight, or I call it ass whooping part two. But I want to see Lomo and Shakur. I think Shakur has to step up to get the pay per view dollars. And his last few fights is almost like he's really concerned about getting hit or getting hurt in the ring, and he's not performing like he performed before he moved up in weight. What is the fight you want to see?
There are a couple of them, and I'm gonna throw them out real quick. You say when you want to see Lomo and Shakur Stevenson. I want to see Lomo versus Gervonta Davis.
Hmm.
Now, I want to see that fight because I think that it's a style contrast. I think Gervonta would really have to come. Not saying he couldn't knock out Lomo. I think he can knock out anybody on that level. But I think the way that Lomo boxes
Yeah.
and moves would cause some issues, and it would force Javante to come correct. Not saying he hasn't done that before, but it's just a different level of style. Because of course we would love to see like him versus Devin Haney or something, but I like to see Lomo there. The other fight it would be Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney. I like to see that fight. Haney is now overdue to kind of show us that he's still and that needs to be he's worthy of being set up in that level, even though the Garcia fight was a disaster for a number of reasons. I think it exposed him a little bit as far as the weight is concerned. But I'd like to see him fight Teofimo Lopez. I think it'd be a great match. But the fight that I really want to see, and it's slowly but surely coming together. We know about the monster, Naya Inoue, Japanese fighter was fighting at 122, doing amazing things, keeps moving up slowly but surely. He has a younger brother that's fighting at 118 as well. That's only lost one fight. But there's a guy by the name of Junto Nakatani. He's fighting at 118, and he's undefeated. And I thought they were going to force Nakatani to fight the younger in a way
Right.
first. But now it sounds like the one thing that everybody knows, they say it might be one of the greatest all Japanese or Japan fights ever with Nakatani versus the monster at 122. These dudes, I'm telling you, when I've been watching this and I've been watching this at 122, 118 and whatnot. This would be to me a modern day version of a fight I loved, and that's how I learned about these guys before. Juan Manuel Marquez versus Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah. That,
Number one was one of the greatest fights ever, ever. It's in the draw, but Pacquiao knocked down Marquez 3 times in the first round. He rose up to get to claim a draw. I just want, and the monster may just be that great, but I want to see him challenged. You know, Nonito Donaire gave me some hell of a fights. But I want to see him challenge against a guy like a Nakatani that is just as explosive, that is just as amazing, just as fast, just as quick, and just as pretty much young. And all Japanese fight like that, they said they want to have it in Vegas, but you had to probably not. You had to have it across the world, man,
yeah.
for the betterment of the people. And we just had to watch it on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I think it would do amazing things for boxing, for their culture, for everything. But I want to see Nakatani versus the Monster at 122. Probably not this year, but next year.
Yeah, yeah, I would like to see that too. Good choices, man. Good choices. Let's go to. I know this fight is happening later this year. We argued over it last year. Usyk versus Fury. Of course, Usyk won the first bout, and we argued after the fight. We argued before the fight. I'm putting as soon as the betting lines come in, I'm putting my money down on the little man, Usyk. Like I said, this is ass whooping part two. But yeah, your thoughts on this, man? Because uh, to me, I don't care what Sugar has concocted, the plan, strategy. He's gonna gain weight. Fury gonna gain weight, lose weight. Um, have the Ghost of Ali train with him. I don't know, but ain't no way he's gonna beat Usyk the way I saw it the last time. So, your thoughts on this fight, man?
You know, you always do this. You always try to bring up stuff that irritates me. So, and this is one fight that
I'm the
irritates
little
me.
brother. I'm supposed to do this.
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's all good. But I just find it ironic that you bring it up. So we don't go there. I'm going to entertain you, as we say. So the one thing I want to ask you before we get started is, are there going to be any substances involved?
Oh man, come on, bro. Come on.
Mixed too.
Come on. Come on.
Uh, okay, I'm ready.
like the legend Aaron Pryor said,
Yeah, what is
was
it? The
the
mix,
love of
mix.
Jesus.
I'm ready.
Say what you had in the special in the mix, it was the love of Jesus. That's all that
Yeah.
was. That's all
No,
that
it
was.
wasn't. Jesus had nothing to do with that. When he did this in that town, he came out,
Come on, man.
and he was losing too. No, man. No. So are we gonna have substance or are we gonna fight fair and square?
Oh man,
No, but
come on, man. Come on,
uh,
don't do that. Like you always tell me, don't do that. Don't do that.
I got to do it. This is what it was.
Give the man his credit. He put a whooping on
Look,
him. Don't do that. Like you told me, don't do that. Don't do. Come on, man. Come on.
but get back to the fight. Like I told you, even with the substances, I think that Fury was playing around too much. I think he was winning the fight. He broke his jaw. He broke Usyk's jaw, and he started playing around. Usyk, on the other hand, after he got his hit, you know, after he got his hit, he realized he was down, and he came back and he did what he had to do to win, and he knocked the boy down. I give him that too. So legitimate, he won. But I think this time that, and it's not gonna be no about weight or training or I'm wearing this or that or Sugar did this or that. I think he literally said, you know what? If I wasn't messing around and I came after this man after I hurt him and stayed on him like I'm supposed to and quit playing with him and trying to pump up the crowd and stuff, I think he said, I can get this dude, man. I think I can get this dude. And I think that's what's gonna happen. So it's not to say that it's not gonna be a tough fight. I think it's gonna be a tough fight. Because when Usyk says the hardest fight he had was against Fury, that says a lot. He didn't say that against Joshua. Never. Did he?
I mean,
Never.
Joshua didn't know how to fight southpaw, so
But I'm just saying, he never said anything like that.
yeah, no.
But against Fury, he did say that.
It was
So,
easy work twice with Joshua because he did not know how to handle softball.
right. But my point here is that Fury, when he makes his mind up, and he want to come fight, not really challenging can handle. And I think that's what's going to happen here.
Okay, before we get out of here, there's rumors happening that maybe next year, regardless of what happens in the Joshua fight, regardless of what happens in the Fury Usyk fight, that Joshua and Fury will finally get it on. What are your thoughts of that?
Man, I respect Joshua. I think he's a good dude, and so you know what's coming. I think he's a good dude. I think he has great aspirations, and at times he can be a very tough fighter. But the problem is if he comes in with the okey doke and the BS and not ready, you just not. I'm not even talking like not ready, like against Andy Ruiz or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in BSing and Fury is coming in with his real deal and they meet each other like they're supposed to, I don't think Josh got a chance in him.
Mm.
Because I don't think as much as Anthony Joshua throws, he does not throw anything like Wilder. I still say that those fights with Wilder were it was like Frazier and Ali, like Thriller and Manila, they took something from their souls because they were throwing that many bombs. And anybody else, if in his prime when Deontay Wilder was throwing those bombs, they would not have been able to survive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Fury to be able to do that and move forward, and if he still has anything left, I think that's the one thing Joshua really can't take a punch. We know Fury can. We know he can because from Deontay Wilder. I still think Deontay Wilder in his prime would beat Joshua too.
Mm.
I do. But I mean, Joshua has a nice comeback, had a nice comeback, and he looked real good. But it almost looked like he was, it was the perfect people for him.
Yeah. I also felt like Joshua, he looked good in his last few fights, but it's almost like he rededicated himself to boxing and to the craft. It just looked like he was just sharper. His mind was in the right place, things of that sort. So that particular fight, if that happens, I don't even want to predict that fight. I just want to see what happens. You have a fighter who I thought Fury was going to have one or two more fights and he was going to be out. That's what I thought I heard him say. But he's still hanging in there. And this is a fight that people were wanting to see for the last few years. I know you and I have talked about this on many occasions that we got to see this fight. We wanted to see Joshua and Wilder, and that never came to fruition. So it would be good if it really happened, but I wouldn't even put any money on this fight to see who won or whatever. I just want to see the fight to see what happens and whether or not it will be a second part of the fight. Depending on what happens in the first fight. I just want to see it. I just want to see it. I want to see these gladiators. They're both from the UK. I want to see them in the ring. I just want them to have it out. I don't want it to be something like, what could have been, or if these guys would fight. Because there was another fight that I always wanted to see, but I read an article about it was Aaron Pryor and Sugar Ray Leonard. And Sugar Ray Leonard explained why the fight didn't happen. The talks just didn't come together. And so yeah, I don't want to be like what could have been. That would have been one of the fights I would still be watching on YouTube if that would have happened because I've been watching a lot of Sugar Ray's past fights, and I gotta say I gotta a renewed appreciation for the boxer he was. Because I didn't really like him at first because I thought he was trying to take Muhammad Ali's spot, and a lot of people felt that way. But just the way he approached fighting and how he stood up to everybody, I have a better appreciation of him now because you don't see fighters do that today. And Sugar Ray took on all comers. I thought he was running away from Aaron Pryor, but after I read that article, I'm like, okay, that's not the case. That's not the case. They just couldn't get it, and they became friends after a few years. So, yeah, I just don't want it. Oh, that what could have been with Fury and Joshua.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, it kind of almost reminds me of kind of like if you had the opportunity to have a fantasy matchup between an older boxer and now. It reminds. I was thinking about that as you talking about wanting to see it, and you wish you could have seen it. One of the things I wish I could have seen, and it just time barriers never would have worked. But I like to see a primed in his prime Canelo Alvarez at a certain weight versus Sugar Ray Robinson.
Woo! I had to go to Robinson. Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Both at the prime, at their primes, and at a good weight, the right weight. I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, even Ali said I'm the greatest, but pound for pound, Sugar Ray.
Yeah,
He was the man. He was the man.
I would have loved. I think that would have showed us a lot about Canelo. I love to see that fight.
He's Icewater. I'm Puma, and this is the Fight Game.